So we're ready to put some primer on the old bird here. Now I've burned through a lot of bare metal spots on this, so I'm going to apply some epoxy back onto this car before I go ahead and proceed with doing the high build primer, because I just feel better about that. Now there's a lot of high build primer that is actually set up for direct metal, so you wouldn't necessarily have to do that step, but I feel better if I do. I know epoxy is 100% blocks out water, is going to be the best foundation. So first things first, I've got everything all masked off, which I think I've determined that I hate masking more than I do body working. But we've got several hours in working this body to get it as straight as possible with our filler. That way when I put the epoxy on, it's going to lay out smooth. And whatever little high build primer that I need on there, the majority of it's going to be sanded off. It's only just minor things that I might have missed. At least that's the hopes. That's what we're going to learn or see as we proceed with building this little car. So right now, the next step is going to be wipe this all down, get it ready to be painted, and then we'll go ahead and hit it with some epoxy primer. Well, I suppose we'll get one last look of what it looks like here before we go ahead and put some primer on. Now, this thing had a lot of stuff wrong. That was an original trunk deck, pretty rough, come to find out. Quarter panels weren't too bad, you saw me work that. The door had some kind of a weird low spot depression there, but you can see now the bare metal on each side. That's why I've opted to go ahead and go with the epoxy primer. The hood, however, somewhere in its life was hardcore media blasted. You could actually see the silhouette of the triangular and the weird openings of the inner structure of the hood, because it actually bowed down between all of them. Probably would have been better to find another hood, but this one was so rust-free, I decided to spend the hours and hours and hours to straighten it out. But she's ugly, but she won't be for long. Now the driver's side, about the same kind of a mess. Just some little minor spots on the fenders and the doors and stuff down this side here. So nonetheless, we'll do the wipe on, wipe off technique here, get any kind of finger smudges out of it or any body butter that may have been left behind. Need to get that all wiped down, and then we'll go ahead and hit it with some epoxy. All wiped down and ready to go. So do not touch that with these guys anymore. I'm going to mix up a lot of epoxy. I'm going to basically have covering the majority of the car. The idea originally was just to spot prime the bare spots, but there's too many. So I might put this a quick little mist coat or a thin coat of epoxy so I have something to build on. So I'll get that mixed up, load it in the gun, let's have some fun. Well, that's had right at an hour now to kind of dry. It's actually dry to the touch. It doesn't look too bad. It's kind of cool to see it all one solid color, but we're not going to stop there. I want to go ahead and put my polyester high build primer. I'm going to use that Clausen Z Chrome Rust Defender stuff. I got a gallon of it. Stuff's very expensive, but it's probably the last time I'm going to use it, but it's kind of a yellowish color, and it is really thick and kind of hard to spray. I'm not sure. There's some other polyester might spray a little better. But like I said, this is the last time I plan to use it. I'm going to use a 2.0 tip on my gun. On the epoxy, I think I forgot to mention it, 1.3 tip. You can see what it did there. Lay it out pretty nice. But I'm going to go ahead and mix up some of the polyester primer. And we're going to try to at least get 1, maybe 2 coats on, depending on how it goes here on this body. And hopefully that's all we need to finish this thing up. But I'll get some mixed and get some spraying here on Dad's car. Got it all set up here. This is a cheap, I think I got this from the Amazon or the Jungle Store. Nico Pneumatic 2.0 tip. It came with multiple tips, but I use this for spraying spray adhesive and thick primers. This is the first time I've used it for this primer. So let's give it a go and see how it goes. Two coats of high build primer. I finally got a nice even coverage over that black paint, but you can really see body line contrast looks pretty sharp. Laid out a little better than I expected, but it still comes out, as you can see, fairly textured. It is a 2.0 tip running on that. Now I'm just going to let this thing dry for probably a week or two before I even block sand that. I'm just going to let it sit. That was kind of my thoughts on it. And then some goober dragged the hose across the fender. So, hey, that's the thing about primer. It's how we learn how to paint and get good at what we're doing. But everything's looking pretty good. So, got that all covered up and ready to go. And something else I want to show you. I mixed up a little bit too much paint. And you can see here in the bottom. This stuff here, I'm going to do a little bit of an experiment. But we are at about 4 ounces there. Yeah, you catch light just right. You can see it wiggling around. I'm going to let this dry as it sits. And supposedly, this stuff doesn't shrink at all. It won't pull away from the side of the bucket or very minimal. And you don't really see that this does not shrink. So I'm going to let this sit and cure. And then we'll come back and do a little experiment. We'll just set that right down here in the trunk. Just like that. We'll let that cure and we'll come back and show you how that looks in a couple weeks. So there you have it. The Lamborghini is in high build primer. And if everything goes right, we'll just block that starting maybe with like 220 just to get it leveled off that texture. And then we'll jump to 320. And if I don't find any issues that need repair, we're going to go ahead and probably go up to about 400 or 600. So we'll be painting it a metallic burgundy color. But what I'm saying is we're getting close to putting some paint on my dad's birds. So, hey, thank you for following me on the journey here. Hope you found this stuff helpful or just entertaining, or maybe how not to do it. But this polyester primer, it just doesn't spray worth a crap. So I understand there's pros and cons, but when it's all sanded and smooth, I know what I'll have when I'm done. This is what I did the Great Pumpkin with, and that body came out phenomenal. So nonetheless, I would definitely get the camera out and we start sanding on this. I'll show you some techniques of block sanding here. And if we do find any blemishes, show you how to fix those just the same, because, you know, that's a big car. That's a lot of square footage for one guy, me, to manage all the little spots. We may find one or two, so you don't want to miss that. So appreciate you checking this thing out here. If you haven't subscribed, please do help a guy out, share with your friends, and any comments are deeply appreciated just the same. But nonetheless, we'll get the camera, we get back out here, play some more cards, and I hope to see you all next.